We're here to talk about. We're here.
We should whisper this whole episode.
Okay, listen.
Hush tones, because it's conspiracies.
People might be listening to us. Our phones might be bugged. My water bottle might be bugged. This microphone might be a microphone. Hello?
Throw it out of here.
It's not actually working. All right, so we're going to talk today about wrestling conspiracies. Ooh.
Yeah, there we go. Ooh.
All right. We asked our friendos. Did you see that guy?
Nah, just till now.
We asked our friendos for your top wrestling conspiracies, things that you have heard or believe to be true or both, right? Now, there is one particular conspiracy that we have no desire to talk about because it is, for lack of a better word, icky, and it has to do with the Macho Man, and that's all I'm going to say about that. We're going to move on from that one. Let's get to this first fun one here from Space Cookie of Sweden. Says, the Montreal Screwjob is one of the best works of all time. So many things don't add up for the documentary to be aired. It was all planned, and I love it.
You know, of all the... First of all, I don't think Montreal Screwjob was a conspiracy. I mean, it was a conspiracy to get a title off Brett, but I don't think it was a shoot in that conspiracy. I don't think that conspiracy is necessarily factually true. Right. That being said, of all the evidence people have laid out to say that it was a work,
yeah,
and this isn't even that great evidence. The strongest evidence is that there was a camera crew back there documenting the whole thing. At
no other time in the history of WWE has Vince allowed an independent camera crew to be backstage at a place. You know, I wonder if there's a paper trail for the producers of Hitman Heart Wrestling with Shadows. I wonder if like that documentary is like, here's the thing, like, do you think they'd be so savvy? It's because like the entire movie is for free on YouTube.
Yeah.
Do you think they'd be so savvy as to be like, oh man, to keep this lie going, we have to let this thing be on YouTube for free.
Free gratis.
Yeah.
Could be. Here, I got one here. This one's good. Yeah. This one is from William Smith. Says an obvious one, but Russo being sent as an agent to tear down WCW from within.
I love that one. I've heard that one. We both heard that a lot.
Yeah, I've heard that before.
I like, you know, the one thing, the one kernel of truth that I think I sort of believed with Russo in the Bash of the Beach Dark Side was when he said that he went to Vince asking for a raise, so he can get a nanny, and Vince was like, "Well, you don't." Or what was it? He wanted to relocate his family, something like that, and Vince was like, "Get a nanny." Yeah, he was like, "All right, you don't really care about me. I'm leaving."
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you. Everything I know about Vince Russo lends me to believe that he went to WCW. He thought that he would be able to prove that he could be a creative genius in pro wrestling without the filter of Vince McMahon. And we all saw how that worked out.
That didn't work out at all. No.
It's sort of in line with like Vince Russo's, from what I've gathered, his general storytelling philosophy, that it's just not terribly good.
No, it's not. It's not. I mean, it is an interesting conspiracy to think that there'd be that level of corporate sabotage in play. You know, but at this juncture, you think if anything like that had a kernel of truth, someone would have spilled the beans on it, you know? Someone would have talked about it by now.
Yeah.
Because that's quite a story.
Also, like, here's the thing also, is that Russo strikes me. This is my I just thought about this now. Another thing that doesn't hold water with that, Russo strikes me as a guy, and this is to say the least, with a big ego.
Yeah.
I don't know that he's the type of personality that would go to a place and tank it, because tanking it would be a big stain on his own reputation, and then not be allowed to talk about it.
Yeah, exactly.
And like, oh yeah, I'm the guy who creatively bankrupted WCW.
Yeah, he'd be in all the podcasts and stuff saying, oh yeah, I'm the guy who tanked WCW from within.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, exactly.
The greatest swerve of all time.
Yeah. I like this one. Uppercutter says, one conspiracy theory I read ages ago that popped in my head was that the Shockmaster incident was a work, and only Dusty and Fred Ottman, the Shockmaster
himself, were
in on it. And he says maybe just Dusty. And here's the logic. Says, how is it Dusty could create a gimmick in the 90s that had no theme or trope, couldn't look more generic if you tried, and an outfit that you couldn't possibly wrestle in? Then after the incident, a last-minute gimmick repackage would not only make more sense than the original, but also address the incident as not only part of the character, but also in a positive light, a lovable klutz, and therefore intentional. That's actually really solid logic.
That's not bad.
Everything about the logic there is actually super solid because, like, how was he going to wrestle that? You saw how the helmet, it just
popped right off. Yeah.
It popped right off.
Yeah.
It was sort of loosey-goosey in the first place. And then they did pivot to a normal gimmick that referenced it in a positive light.
Yeah. Yeah, that's entirely possible. It's entirely possible.
That is very
do
possible.
Some more research. Yeah, there's no way that he'd be able to wrestle in that Stormtrooper helmet.
Not a chance.
No chance.
I mean, he couldn't even walk through a wall.
No, I mean, in his defense, there was a board there.
I'm gonna give that a green check mark. That one is conspiracy.
I feel like that one requires more research.
Truth confirmed.
Cody Miles says Sheamus's first WWE Championship was won by accident. So I looked into it right now.
Yeah.
He won his first championship against John Cena in a tables match at TLC 2009.
Ooh, those are notoriously easy to botch.
Yeah.
Like, I know that from playing 2K23.
Yep.
You sneeze near a table, it breaks, and
that will happen. Yeah. Again, more research is necessary, but I mean, it holds some water.
Yeah, no, that's a possibility. That's interesting.
Patrick Cheeseman says, I think that secretly AEW and WWE are working together and are a monopoly. No, I don't think
so. I don't believe this, but I'm trying to figure out like the reasons why. Like it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, no, it doesn't.
I don't think that one doesn't really make any sense.
No, it doesn't.
Because here's the thing. This is the problem with that. They're just driving up talent prices between the two of them being in competition, and WWE would never want to do that.
No, they'd want to do something that would achieve the opposite effect.
Yeah. Damon Harden says Hogan's black eye at Mania 9 wasn't from a jet ski. It was from Macho Man after he found out Elizabeth ran to Hogan and Linda's house and Hogan didn't tell Randy. I think this wasn't this addressed on like the Macho Man and Elizabeth episode?
The biography, I think.
Oh, okay.
I think.
Okay. Yeah, I'd heard this one before that Macho Man gave Hogan the black eye.
Yeah, I've heard that before.
What was? Oh, yeah, the official story was a jet ski.
Yeah,
I could see it being that's the case. Shit was weird back then.
That it was.
Shit was weird back then.
Yeah.
Okay, so I like this next one because it references something that like this guy actually experienced. It's from Op Killjoy. Says the rumor that went around my school, I remember the most, was that this group of kids lived by Jake the Snake and would see him all the time with no snakes. They also said they were in his house and he didn't have any. So the reason he has them in WWF was because he ate them after the matches to heal, and that's why they look different all the time. So there's no way we can verify that. I just love that as a kid, there was a rumor about Jake the Snake and kids living near him.
Wow.
And he eating the snakes. I love that rumor. Because it indicates that kids knew what pro wrestling were back then, man.
Yeah.
I did a presentation at Alabama's like school classroom thing, and I said, "Hey kids, how many of y'all know what WWE is?" Not a single one raised their hands.
That's crazy.
And I was like, "Do you know what pro wrestling is?" And then all of a sudden it occurred to me, I might have to explain what pro wrestling is, and that's a really difficult thing to do to kids.
I know. Eli Humes here says apparently there was a stunt double for Mankind around the time of '98, and during a house show, they were testing a pyro match, and the imposter suffered serious burns. I've never heard anything like that before.
Neither have I. That is fascinating. I'll have to do more research on that one. We'll have to reach out to our sources.
Yeah.
Deep Throat.
Other sources. We have to meet them in alleys.
Exactly. Near brick walls.
Trade
like
envelopes full of secret information.
Panther Man says WWE kept Daniel Bryan on the shelf in order to push Roman Reigns as their top babyface when Bryan was good to wrestle the whole time. I don't know that Daniel Bryan would be cool with that.
No, I don't think he would.
There's just too much to suggest that Daniel Bryan legitimately medically was not cleared to wrestle.
You watch Total Bellas and you see his reaction right after that phone call he gets from Vince, and that doesn't seem to be a situation. But, I mean, the emotions behind it seem genuine.
Yeah.
So,
let's see. And look, the thing is, when he won at WrestleMania 30, like, it didn't seem like they had very many high pro. I don't think he was going to have that title very long.
No, I don't think so.
I think they did that for the moment, and they were going to get right back to business.
Yep.
So I don't think they would have needed to keep him on the show.
No.
They just could have put him in shitty feuds, and he would have been buried. You know?
I know. Several people here mentioned the 2 Ultimate Warrior conspiracy.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Like he left, he came back, and he wasn't as huge as he was.
They referenced
initially.
that on the I think it was the Rise and Fall of Ultimate
think so,
Warrior?
yeah.
I think it was that. Yeah, they referenced that one. He looked like a different dude. But here's the thing. Here's the thing. One of my conspiracy theories, and I actually don't believe this, but it kind of tracks, is that there's like 5 different Hulk Hogans throughout the years. Because if you look at, and honestly, it boils down to what steroids does. Mm-hmm. It's when you have a different mix of steroids, when you're going heavy on them or soft on them or whatever.
Cycling on and off, yeah.
Cycling on and off. Your face looks different.
Yeah.
Like if you look at Hulk Hogan from like, I don't know, 81 to like 98, right? His face looks different at least 5 different times.
Yeah, it does.
Like there are times when it's super puffy. You look at WrestleMania 9, it's all shrunken in.
Yeah.
He looks like a different person several times over.
Yeah, he does. And you look at his muscular girth and see how that relates to the size of his head.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And you can definitely, there's a pattern there.
Lucas Calzo says, I've heard one that says Triple H's reign of terror was thought up by Vince, not Triple H, as a way to bury WCW again since Bischoff worked on Raw by booking Triple H in a way similar to Hollywood Hogan.
I mean, that just kind of seems like a stretch.
I mean, in terms of like the whys, look, number one, it was probably a collaborative effort between Triple H and Vince McMahon.
Yeah.
But number two, I don't think Vince McMahon necessarily wanted to like bury WCW. I think they were intent on making Triple H this like super, you know, powered up bad guy.
Yeah.
But and Triple H was tight with Vince McMahon, so I'm sure that he probably wanted that as well. Mm-hmm. If you look at like Triple H's favorite wrestler is Ric Flair. What was Ric Flair? He's a bad guy who the baby faces would always chase.
Yep.
You know.
Yep. That was the story.
And that's the same thing. Same thing with Triple H.
Pretty much.
Yeah. I don't think Vince. I think if Vince knew that he could make a shit ton of money off. I mean, look at what they did with Goldberg. Like Goldberg legitimately, like Vince McMahon made a shit ton of money off Goldberg.
Yeah.
And he was a WCW creation.
Yeah.
So I think if Vince saw that, oh man, we can make a lot of money with any of these people,
he would have done it.
He would have done it. If you guys have any more wrestling conspiracy theories, drop them in the comments below. But be sure to do it in the form of a cipher that only we can uncipher. Decipher. Yeah. Don't do that because I'm not going to know. I have no time in my day.
No, I don't know how to do that.
Yeah.